Chapter 1, Meet Uzumaki Naruto. Uzushio, capital of the Uzumaki family territory, underworld. Everything was peaceful in Uzushio. The merchants were selling their wares, the guards were patrolling, and the Uzumaki mansion stood proudly in the outskirts of the city in all its glory. The peace was interrupted by a female voice that came from the mansion. Uzumaki Naruto. When I get my hands on you, you'd wish that you were not born Databane. The cry made the birds in the area fly away in terror, while all those that heard it were smiling. Their young heir was up to his usual antics. The boy was the joy of all of Uzushio, always smiling and full of energy. He was always running all day all over the city pulling pranks and turning his poor mother's hair white. The irony of it never escaped their minds, since 200 years ago there was another ball of energy running around and terrorizing the population. Inside the mansion, a blond boy was running as if God himself was after him. He was around 8 years old, with deep violet eyes. After him was a woman that looked to be around her early 30s. She had vibrant red hair coupled with the same violet eyes as the boy. She was currently holding a frying pan and her face displayed a furious expression. The boy's name was Uzumaki Naruto, and the one chasing him was Uzumaki Kushina, his mother. The reason for this furious chase was the state of the main hall. Orange paint was covering every speck of the room, at some places not even dry yet, pooling on the floor. When Kushina walked inside, she had a major freak-out, thus chasing after her son. As Naruto made to turn a corner, he missed the glint in his mother's eyes. Suddenly chains made of magic erupted from the ground around him, entrapping him in an impenetrable cage. The young boy knew he was caught, and so he pouted in defeat as his mother finally reached him. "Mother! No fair. No change when you're chasing me." After his comment, the change receded a bit. Thinking that perhaps he wasn't going to get scolded, he tried to slowly make a tactical retreat. Yep, that's what it was he said to himself in his mind. Uzumaki never retreated. They just advanced in the opposite direction. And now the safest direction was as far away he could before MT Kushina could erupt. Uzumaki Naruto. Of course he wasn't that lucky, since the next moment a frying pan descended upon his poor head, making him see black. When he next came to, he was met with his mother's Knight Astolfo, a petite girl who was descended from a famous knight of Charlemagne. "Auntie Astolfo. What happened?" "Master Naruto, you're awake." "Good. Master Kushina tasked me to oversee your punishment." At Naruto's fearful look, she elaborated. "Nothing too strenuous this time. Master is busy, and she only assigns long punishments when she's here to oversee them. You only have to clean up the hall of the paint." Naruto was relieved at his light punishment. His punishment usually came at great personal hurt. Usually he had to clean up the mess he made, then apologize to the servants for all the stress he causes them. Then came the dreaded part. His mother has him stay outside all night training. To an outsider it might seem harsh for a mother to subject her child to something like that, but for Kushina that was normal. Ever since she lost her husband Minato to an assassination attempt, she became extra protective to Naruto. So she had him training at almost all times to not have a repeat of what happened to Minato happen to Naruto. Though it seems that today his mother was busy with something and he escaped the worst part of his punishment. "Auntie, do you know what has mother busy? She usually never leaves my punishment to others." Astolfo smiled at him gently. "I'm not sure. I believe that it has to do with some guests we'll be receiving today. So the room must be cleaned by time for dinner." Seeing him freeze, she decided to add some incentive to make him work quicker. "Tell you what. If you finish with time to spare, I'll give you a ride on Swift." Swift was Astolfo's hippogriff, whom young Naruto adored. Yay, seeing him get up and start running to the main hall had her laughing at his enthusiasm. One of the 72 pillars of the underworld, Uzumaki, was always a strange family. One of the smallest but more powerful ones, they always remained neutral to great conflicts that arise in the underworld. During the Great War they isolated themselves by usage of their sealing magic. They remained out of the picture, and so they were one of the few families that got out of the war unscathed. During the Civil War they remained neutral, but secretly they were supplying the new Satan faction with seals of all kinds. They have a good working relationship with Kyoto and the Yukai faction since the days before the Great War, when the founder of the family defied the original Lucifer and wed a Kyubi from Kyoto, thus making the Uzumaki family the only non-yokai chakra users in the world. They also have a great relationship with the Citri family due to their lines often intermarrying. Today the family is led by Kushina, who was wed to Namikaze Minato, the leader of the extra devil family, the Namikaze. 8 years ago the heir, Naruto, was born. Unfortunately, when he was a mere hours old, assassins hired by the old Satan faction attacked the hospital, with the intent to eliminate both the mother and the child of the main branch. It was close, but in the end the father of the small family sacrificed himself to save both his wife and child, making Naruto an orphan from his father's side. The attack made Kushina overprotective of Naruto and had him trained as soon as she could without harming him. That brings us to the present. Naruto managed to finish cleaning up the mansion just in time to go and prepare for the guests that were to arrive. Apparently today he was to meet a family from the 72 Pillars named Citri. Naruto has heard about them before. The Citri family apparently were a long-standing ally of the Uzumaki with familial ties with them since every generation a Citri-Uzumaki wedding happens. Even his mother was contracted to marry a Roland Citri before she met his father. But Roland was one of the casualties of the Civil War, so the contract was void, and by the time that a suitable replacement was found, Kushina was already engaged to Minato. The Citri family was known for their mastery over water magic, a trait that was passed over to the Uzumaki, and those last 200 years for giving birth to one of the 4 Satans, Seraphal Leviathan. Naruto had met with Seraphal in the past since she was one of Kushina's oldest friends, and had the habit of calling her Serenei-chan as she insisted that she was too young in her opinion to be called auntie. Apparently that's how you called a big sister in Japan, according to Seraphal, who was enamored with the Japanese culture. Just as Naruto was finished getting ready, there was a knock on the door. After telling the person to come in, it was revealed to be his mother. "Mom? I was just now on my way down." "Naruto, may I speak with you?" she asked him with some hesitation in her voice. At his nod she continued, "Naruto, do you think I'm harsh?" That question surprised him greatly since he'd never seen his mother in such a mood. She usually was loud and confident, with doubts having no place in her mood. "Mom, what are you talking about? You're the best." Kushina smiled a bit at his enthusiasm. At times her boy was so much like her in her younger days. "But I'm so harsh with you, Databane. I always punish you when you're doing pranks, and I always train you to the ground. I'm not here all the time leaving you alone for great lengths of time." By the end of it she had unshed tears in her eyes. Naruto in the beginning didn't know what to do. In the end he was just an 8-year-old boy, so he chose to respond in the only way that he knew. He just went over and hugged his mother. "Mom, you're the best mother I could ask for. I know that after the death of Dad things were hard for you, but you still gave me enough love for the both of you. And I know that you care, because after all the times that you trained me too hard, you always stay next to me until you're sure that I'm okay." By the time that he finished they were both embracing one the other with tears in their eyes. "Thank you, Naruto." They stayed as this for a few more moments, basking in the other's presence, until Kushina remembered that their guests should be arriving any moment now. "Now why don't we go and greet the Citris? Little Sona should be here as well. I know that you've been dying to meet her ever since Sarah told you about her." At the mention of that, Naruto bolted to the door, nearly knocking her to the floor. "Don't run in the halls, Databane." Everything was normal in the Uzumaki household. Naruto couldn't wait to meet Seraphal's little sister. The only friends he had that were his age was Rin, the daughter of his mother's contracted magician Aoi. Aoi was a woman that Naruto came to see a lot inside the mansion, and she always brought Rin with her. The two were practically raised together. A deep blue magic circle appeared at the reception hall of the Uzumaki mansion. Through it 4 people appeared. Naruto instantly recognized one of them. Dressed in a pink shirt and a pink miniskirt was Seraphol Leviathan, the self-proclaimed Maoshoujo, with her long black hair pulled in 2 ponytails and her violet eyes twinkling mischievously. Next to her was a short bespectacled girl around his own age with a slim figure, black hair styled in a short bob cut and violet eyes. He guessed that this one was Sona Citri, the little sister that Seraphol won't shut up about, the heiress of the Citri family. Behind them stood their parents, Lord and Lady Citri. Naruto-chan. As soon as Seraphol set her eyes on him, she pounced, wrapping her arms around him in a big hug while smothering his face on her bountiful chest. Sarane-chan. Can't breathe. Let go, at least that was what he wanted to say. What came out sounded more like SFFE Saf. Saf's Fief. FFFS Foo. Taking pity on her son, Kushina intervened. Sarah, I suggest you let go. You're suffocating my son. Ah. Naruto-chan. I'm so sorry. Taking deep breath, Naruto faked glared at Seraphol. Sarane-chan, I told you to stop doing that. Mao. And I told you that I'm never stop doing that. Now let me introduce you to my parents and my little sister. Sotan, come here. When Sona approached them, she curtsied as is the custom in nobles. It's nice to meet you, Lord Naruto. Both Seraphol and Naruto looked at her with unblinkingly and then to each other as if to say, is she serious? Both Kushina and the Citri parents were watching them with interest to see their reactions. Seeing that both her sister and the Uzumaki heir continued to look at her weirdly, she couldn't take it anymore. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Sotan, you know we're in the Uzumaki territory? What kind of question is that? Of course. You know that the Uzumaki hate formalities, right? What dash? And also you know that Naruto-chan here is family, right? Like 4th cousin or something, she asked finally. 5th cousin, actually. Replied Kushina from the sidelines. So there. No need for formalities. Now try again. Sona kept grumbling about annoying sisters beneath her breath, but she did as she was told. Hello, Naruto. My name is Sona. I hope we'll be good friends. Naruto was almost in hysterics about Seraphol's actions, but he returned the greeting with a big smile. I'm Naruto. I hope we get along. His greeting was met with a smile from the bespectacled child. Why don't you two go and play? We'll call you when it's time for dinner, said Kushina. The only response she received was Naruto grabbing Sona's hand and running for the garden, laughing all the while despite the girl's protests. Naruto and Sona hit it off real well, and by dinner time they were completely exhausted. Naruto's more playful personality complemented well with Sona's mostly serious disposition. Of course, having a sister like Seraphol made Sona pretty resistant to any corruption Naruto could have inflicted on her. Still, the pair hit it off, something that the parents were very grateful for. Now it was right after dinner had ended. The two families were gathered in the living room of the mansion. Apparently, the adults had something to say to both Naruto and Sona. Sona, dear. What is your impression of young Naruto? Started the Lady Citri. Sona was puzzled by the question, but answered nonetheless. Naruto is a mischievous, playful ball of energy with not a single ounce of respect in his body, started Sona, making Naruto slump in his seat, pouting. But he's quickly becoming a good friend. She finished with a smile in her face. In his seat, Naruto brightened up and smiled at Sona, who in turn stuck her tongue out at him. Seeing them both interact like that brought smiles to all the adults. Naruto, now can you tell us your opinion for little Sona here, said Kushina to her son. Sona is a stick in the mud. Everyone around face faulted except Seraphol, who fell off her seat by laughing so hard. She's too uptight and has no idea on how to have fun, wanting to only play chess. But I can corrupt her. Cuckoo cuckoo cuckoo, she'll join the dark side. Beyond that, she is my friend. Everyone was creeped out by his laugh, all wondering how an 8-year-old can make a creepy sound like that. Except Sona, who was extremely annoyed by him, with several tick marks on her forehead. Still annoyed at her friend's comments, Sona turned to her parents. Why are you asking us those things, mother? The parents and Seraphol looked uncomfortable at her question. In the end, Lord Citri turned to his daughter. Sona, are you familiar with the relations between our two families? At his daughter's nod, he continued. Our families are deeply connected between them with blood ties. It goes back to the age of the original Lucifer. I won't bore you with the details, but we, as in me, your mother and Kushina, decided to enter you into a marriage contract. Sona was in shock, and Naruto wasn't far behind. Sona already knew what that meant. Earlier that year, her best friend and big rival, Rias, came to her in tears to tell her that she was engaged to be married to Riser Phoenix, third son of the Phoenix clan, one of the other pillar clans. She believed such a fate would never befall her, since she knew that her parents despised arranged marriages. Now here she was, hearing the impossible. In near tears, she asked the one question that mattered to her. Why? IIT thought you hated them, she shouted, not caring anymore about maintaining her composure. The idea was mine. Came the answer from the most unexpected source, Seraphol. The Satan was sitting there with the most serious face that she had ever seen appear in her sister's sister. Why? Seraphol came in front of both of them and knelt, coming to eye level with both children. She took her sister's hands in her own and then did the same with Naruto, whom she had come to care almost as much as her little sister. Some months ago, Serzex came to me and told me about Rias getting engaged to Riser Phoenix. While the union was done for something ridiculous as pure-blooded grandbabies, I knew that it was something that many would attempt through Yusotan to get closer to me. So I brought my worries to Kushina, and because she feared someone would try the same to Naruto to get an in the Uzumaki, we devised this plan. Kushina continued for her. The contract between you two was worded in a way that could be broken very easily. But at the same time, it's ironclad. It's a marvel, really. I've known Sarah for many years, but I didn't know she could have such a good grasp of politics. Sona, only you and Naruto can break the contract. No, me, not your parents, not even the four Satans can. It'll be sealed by magic using the Uzumaki clan seals. Basically, the contract protects you both from the other families and gives you the freedom for when the time comes to choose on your own whom you'd want to marry. Be it each other or someone else. No one here will pressure you to do anything. Though we'll like it very much if you get married to each other, it'll always be your choice. Added Lord Citri. Both Naruto and Sona calmed down considerably since hearing the reasons. But we can break it off any time we want? I'd suggest that unless you find lovers, that you keep the contract intact. I know that you were terrified of something similar to what happened to Rias happening to you. Added Lady Citri. Now why don't you sign? Asked them Kushina, who started to prepare the seals needed to make the contract effective. Okay, Mother/Lady Kushina. Both children said in unison. Kushina couldn't resist adding one last shot to her son. And Naruto, don't worry, Rin would be understanding. After all, devils practice polygamy. All that was heard in the surrounding city was a loud moo. And hey guys, I bring you a new story. This one a long-time project of mine, Naruto/DxD crossover. About my other stories, I'll be continuing the Greek Avenger and this one. The other two are in hiatus. I don't know for how long, so don't ask me. As for this story, it'll be a Naruto/harem with the girls inside already set. Now that doesn't mean that I won't take suggestions, but I want them to be more than because they're re-meant together or because it's cool. I want honest to God or my reasons why I should include them. Review the girls if you want, and if the reason is good enough, I'll take it under consideration. Also, next chapter Naruto is getting his evil peace set, so expect a peerage. There I won't take suggestions as the peerage is pretty much set in stone. Naruto Uzumaki peerage. King Uzumaki Naruto. Queen. Knight. Knight. Bishop. Rook. Rook. Pawn. Pawn. Till next chapter, read and review. CYA. Chapter 2, Lunar Princess. 3 years later, Naruto age 11. It had been almost 3 years since the day that Naruto and Sona got engaged. Many events took place since then. A few days after the engagement, Sona saw fit to introduce him to her best friend / rival, Rias Gremory. The two didn't get along well, something that Sona explained to him that probably had to do with the fact that Naruto represented everything that she, Rias, couldn't have. The ability to freely choose whom to marry. Apparently, after the engagement was finalized and announced in the underworld, Seraphol went to the other Satans and explained the circumstances of it to them. After that, it seems that Serzex told his family about it, and so Rias knew all about him even before they were introduced. Sona was disappointed that Rias didn't get along with Naruto and tried to play mediator between them, but once Rias pushed him enough to reveal his Uzumaki temper, she just avoided putting them in the same room. Nowadays they have a rather strained friendship as they both don't want to disappoint Sona by always fighting. A few months later, during Naruto's 9th birthday, there was a big party hosted in the Uzumaki mansion. It was there that Naruto was officially introduced at the rest of the 72 pillars as the Uzumaki heir. He met a great many people there, including most of the heirs of the rest of the pillars. Among them was Sarorg Bale, the former heir of the Bale clan, who was cast out for not inheriting the famed power of destruction. The two became fast friends and also big rivals. Of course, Rias and Sona were already there along with another girl his age named Sigvera Agars, whom in contrast Rias he became good friends with. At times she reminded him of Sona, serious and collected, but in contrast to Sona she was quick to anger at times if you pressed the right buttons. The last person he met was Diodora Astaroth, a soft-spoken kid that for some reason gave him the creeps. Naruto couldn't form an opinion on him beyond that though. One big highlight of the night was meeting with the 4 Satans. In truth, Naruto didn't know what to think about them. He knew what to expect from them. He was raised in the company of a rabbit cosplaying magical girl whom is considered one of their members, but still. One more event that highlighted those years, and in Naruto's opinion one of the more important ones, was that he finally received his evil peace set from Majuka Beelzebub. He was finally ready to start forming his own peerage. It was the one thing that he was waiting for the most, since Sarorg rubbed it in his face ever since he found his queen, Kisha, a devil from the extra clan Abaddon. Of course, he knew that if he wanted to form his own peerage, he needed to find people that he could trust and not reincarnate every random person that he could find. So Naruto resolved to find the right pieces for his own peerage, and then use them to crush Sarorg in the raiding games. And so that brings us to the now. Ryan. Stop hitting me, whined a pouting Naruto to his best friend. Next to him, pouting while smacking him on the head with a heavy tone, was a pretty girl of 11 years old. She had long and wavy black hair, styled into twin tails tied with black ribbons, and her eyes were of the purest sapphire. Her clothing consisted of a white shirt with a red necktie, a red skirt, and long black socks. Her name was Tosaka Rin, the daughter of Kushina's contracted magician Aoi Tosaka, and Naruto's best friend. Mao. Baka. Why did you say that? A red-faced Rin said to Naruto after she stopped hitting him. A puzzled expression appeared at Naruto's face at this. What? I said that red suits you. That's not a reason to smack me around with that thing. he dodged the following strike from the heavy leather-bound tome. Why do you carry that around anyways? Rin puffed her cheeks. It's a tome on defensive bounded fields. I'm trying to learn one to apply to my room here. Her room was targeted many times over the years by Naruto trying to set up pranks for her. She hoped that the next time she comes over, Naruto would be in for a nasty surprise. Naruto scoffed. Bounded fields? Bah! They don't stand a chance against my seals. Rin smacked him again in the head. Baka! We'll see about that. Oh? You think that you can catch me into one of your fields that easily? He asked her, smirking. Of course. No matter how you try, you'll always fail before my might. Ha 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 ha, she started laughing like a villain from some cheap movie. How about a bet then? You'll put the field in your room and I'll try to beak in. Oh? Are you sure about that? Asked him Rin slyly. Yeah. Okay then. Loser gets to be the other person's servant for a month. Naruto hesitated. What? Rin saw that and pounced. Oh? What's the matter? Scared you'll lose? After all, I thought that seals were better than bounded fields. Okay. Terms met. Now let me study. I want my field to bust your ass, shouted Rin, throwing him out of the room. Hey, you can't do that. That's my house. You can't kick me out of any room here. The only response he received was a door to his face. And after that she kicked me out and let me stew. Naruto exclaimed angrily. Can you believe that? His audience was Sona, Rias, and a girl their age named Akino Himejima, Rias's new queen. She had long black hair tied in a high ponytail and violet eyes. Of course she did. That's the only way to deal with you. Sona countered him. The other two girls erupted in giggles, much to Naruto's dismay. Suona. Don't take her side. She's a menace. Naruto whined to his fiancée. Ufufu. Naruto-sama, you shouldn't mess with a maiden like that. It's unmanly, said the Queen of Grimmery to the blonde-haired boy. But Akino, can't you see that they're all against me? Rin, Sona, and Grimmery. All of them. He then fell on his knees in front of the amused girls and took one of Akino's hands in his own. Only you understand me, my dear Akino. What do you say we ditch all of them and run away? You ditch the red-haired bimbo and I'll ditch the stick in the mud. You can become my queen and we'll rule the underworld, he said dramatically. The next second he was running away, trying to escape water blasts and ominous-looking crimson blast of energy, courtesy of said stick in the mud and red-haired bimbo. All the while leaving the black-haired girl giggling behind them. Akino and Naruto had a strange friendship ever since they were introduced to each other. Naruto was always trying to coax her away from Grimmery, only to be violently rejected by Rias, and Akino always took his side in the usual arguments between the three devils just for amusement's sake. Naruto stood opposite from his mother in a battle stance. She was training him in the clan's secret ninjutsu, in this case the fabled adamantine chakra chains. Naruto had a real aptitude for them ever since he was little. At the moment, Kushina was trying to make him bring them out from different parts of his body, not just from his hands, a feat that was extremely difficult since even her, who was considered a prodigy in the arts, took her several years to perform. Okay, that's enough for now. This is still beyond you. At her words, Naruto's face fell. It wasn't his fault that it was so difficult. Don't look so disappointed, Naruto. It took me years to be able to manifest even one chain from other parts of my body, and the adamantine chains are considered my specialty. Okay, Mom. But still I want to surpass you and Dad, so I'll have them down in no time. That's a promise. He grinned at her, giving her the V sign. Oh? Pretty ambitious, aren't you? Very well then. Tell you what, If you manage to draw blood, I'll teach you my original technique that your father helped me develop. Naruto's eyes brightened immediately at the prospect of getting his hands on such a jutsu. He immediately went to his ready stance, which had his hands set at eye level and his body in a crouching position. Kushina in turn went into her own fighting stance, which was similar to Naruto's, with some difference gained through years of combat experience. The two stood idle, gazing the other for a few minutes, trying to find gaps in the other's guard. The first who moved was Naruto, who held out his hand and a magic circle appeared. Wind Cutter had unleashed a series of wind blades at Kushina, who in turn dodged them while performing her own spell. Water Formation Wall, which created a dense wall of water around her, protecting her from the wind blades. Naruto didn't stand idle though, since he knew his mother would have no problem with his attack. He used his inherent chakra to form his favorite jutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 20 identical copies of the blonde appeared on the training ground, who all charged at the red-headed woman. Kushina in turn dropped, putting her hand on the ground, making another magic circle appear. Water Dragon Whip and Orb appeared beneath her hand, which in turn spouted out several sharp dragon-headed whips appeared, each piercing a clone until there was none left, all having dissolved into smoke upon contact. Kushina watched her surrounding, trying to pinpoint Naruto's location, who used a replacement to escape the dragon whip. The answer came when a series of sharp water needles tried to make her a human pincushion. You'll have to do better than that, Data Bean. I'm not some freshly reincarnated devil, you know. The only response she got was a series of attacks from different directions. She recognized a few of them. There was a gunshot, 2 great breakthroughs, 1 wind cutter and several wind-coated kunai. That's good, she thought. He's finally starting to use his head. Next instant, several clones of her son attacked her, all appearing from different spots of the surrounding forest. Among the clones, she recognized her son's unique signature. She may not be a sensor type of fighter, but still she could easily pinpoint his location. After all, she did give birth to him. The clones were all preparing some long-ranged spells to throw at her. What's his plan? She thought as she started to dodge the water and wind spells in a way that would make most acrobats green with envy. She saw Naruto, the real one, charging a spell in his right hand. Spiraling wind ball, he called out his attack as he proceeded to try to smash it into her face. The irony of the attack was very clear to her at the moment, since the attack that she would try to teach him shared the same principles as this one. Nevertheless, Kushina ignored it at the moment as she dodged the attack coming right to her face. Instead, she just grabbed Naruto's hand, letting the wind ball dissipate into nothing, and used one of her own spells against him. Water Prison, she intoned as the water from her previous water wall gathered around him and trapped him inside. Yield, Naruto? Naruto only smirked, and she understood too late that she was duped. The Naruto inside of the water prison exploded in a great show of fire and water. She dodged the Bunshin Daibakuha just in time to fall into a trap. From behind her she heard Naruto, the real one this time, shouting, "Gotcha!" Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, a hail of wind-enhanced shuriken descended upon her. The only thing that she could do was dodge them with her cat-like grace, since she had no time to use a spell to defend in time. When she felt one of them graze her skin, she knew that her boy had done it. He had drawn blood against her. It wasn't that a great feat, since she was limiting herself to around 40% of her total power, but for her it was enough. Naruto landed next to her, his face almost splitting in two from his grin. "Pay up, Mom. You owe me a technique." Kushina grinned herself at his enthusiasm. Okay, I guess I owe you. Let's get back to the house. I'll tell you about it on the way there. How about it? We both need a shower anyway. Yeah, you're right. We kind of smell. I hope Granny Mito doesn't find us like last time. My back still hurts. Kushina cringed at the thought of her own mother. Last time that she caught them out after their training was done, she dragged them to the baths with her adamantine chains and scrubbed them until their backs were raw. All the while Kushina was protesting that she was an adult woman and that's no way for her to treat her like a child. The only response she got from her mother was a bar of soap to the mouth courtesy of a chain. Yep, let's use the servant's entrance. She won't be expecting that. She nodded sagely. Now about the technique. Have you ever heard of the Rasengan? After they returned home, and fortunately there was no Mito Uzumaki waiting for them by the door, and showered Naruto took a stroll around the gardens of the mansion. He always liked coming here, since they offered him such a good connections with nature. Naruto, as the rest of his clan, were in tune with nature thanks to their Kyuubi roots, so they could use senjutsu. Not a lot of them were able to use it though, due to how hard it was to submit oneself in nature and draw all of the negative emotions that surrounded the world. Naruto was one of the few exceptions to the rule for reasons that no one could explain yet. Oh, they've tried for a while to find the reason, but even the most skilled member of the clan had no answers to this particular problem. And from Kyoto, when they asked, the only response they got was that it's not time yet to reveal. Kushina was quite pissed at them for the response, but she had to let it go since she didn't want to damage their relationship with them. Which brings us back to Naruto. As he was walking through the dense forests and the Uzumaki gardens, he found his favorite clearing. There he sat down cross-legged and started meditating, immersing himself to the world. While he couldn't form a complete sage mode yet due to his age, he could, when meditating, feel the world around him. At the moment everything was peaceful since it was 5 in the afternoon. It was mostly silent around Uzushio. Yet there was something in the air, something like anticipation. Something was about to happen. He was sure of it. Suddenly he felt it. Something opened. No, wait, opened wasn't the right word. Something ripped, no, still not right. Something appeared from somewhere. There. He locked to the signature. The feedback he received was conflicting. Hope yet despair. Joy yet sadness. Hate yet peace. Emotion yet serenity. But over them all it was pain. And pain was something that Naruto understood. Pain meant that someone was hurt, so he rushed to the place where he felt the person was. After a 5-minute run, he arrived to a clearing in the forest. The clearing wasn't there yesterday. It was made from something making impact with the ground, as evidenced from the crater in the middle of the clearing. And inside the crater was a sight that made our young hero pause. Inside was a girl his age. But this one was no simple girl. She had long flowing blonde hair, much like his own. Her eyes, while half closed, were of the deepest red, like 2 molten rubies. She wore a white dress that reached her knees with gold trimming. The perfect image was ruined by red splotches that could only be blood all over her. When he saw her, Naruto rushed at her side. "Are you okay?" he asked her frantically while checking her over for injuries. All he found out was that the blood on her wasn't her own. The girl didn't respond. Her only reaction was to try and raise her hand, who took a claw-like appearance. "So she thinks I'm a threat," were Naruto's thoughts. "I'm not going to hurt you. I believe you," she said while shaking from exhaustion. Her voice, while sounding completely tired, was melodic and sent a pleasant tingling through his spine. "What's your name?" he asked as he scooped her into his arms in a bridal carry. He needed to take her to the hospital immediately. She might not have any injuries on her, but it was still necessary to give her the once-over. Just to be safe. To his surprise, she seemed to snuggle to his chest, making him blush a bit despite the situation. The girl let out 2 words before she succumbed to unconsciousness. Arcuate Brunestad. In the following days, Naruto stayed next to Arcuate's bed in the hospital, waiting for her to wake. The doctor said that it was just a case of complete exhaustion, mental and physical. While he was there, he was visited by both Rin and Sona, who expressed their interest in Arcuate. Apparently she was a vampire, but not from one of the well-known clans. His mother, who also came to visit almost every day, said that she'd heard the name Brunestad before, but she didn't remember where. On the 5th day, the young girl finally opened her eyes. Those ruby orbs opened, glowing in the darkness as they took in their surroundings. She was in a hospital of some kind. She tried to shift, and the slight noise she made stirred the other occupant of the room, whom she hadn't noticed in the beginning. He was a boy around her age that seemed vaguely familiar. She recalled images of the boy helping her after she used the portal to travel in the underworld. She also recalled a feeling of warmth and safety. MHHM, 5 more minutes, Mom. He talked in his still semi-conscious sleepy state. Despite herself, Arcuate smiled a bit at him. He looked so cute, all curled up in the chair. It seemed that in the end he woke up by himself, because the next thing she knew was staring in those violet orbs. "You're awake!" Naruto shouted in joy as soon as he opened his eyes to meet those of the young vampire. "Yes, I must thank you, Mr. Devil. While I wasn't in any grave danger when you found me, I'd still be vulnerable due to my complete exhaustion. So thank you for taking care of me." Arcuate smiled at him. Naruto beamed back at her. "It's not a problem. I couldn't leave a pretty girl like you just lying down there." As soon as he realized what he said, he blushed red. Arcuate herself wasn't far behind, since no one has ever called her pretty before. "Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Devil." An awkward silence fell upon the pair, which was broken by Arcuate. "So what's your name? I can't be calling you Mr. Devil all the time." Naruto smiled at her. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, heir to the Uzumaki clan, one of the 72 pillars of the underworld." "And you're Arcuate, right?" Arcuate smiled at him. "Well, nice to meet you, Naruto. And yes, my name is Arcuate Brunestad, White Princess of the True Ancestors. A vampire, as you might already know." "True Ancestors? What's that?" queried the blonde. Arcuate scratched the back of her head awkwardly. "Ahaha, you weren't supposed to hear that. I was just caught up in the moment and said it," she said, while making a fist and cutely hitting herself in the side of her head. "No, I'll very much like to know how the White Princess was found so far away from her home and into my territory," said a voice from the doorway, who startled both kids since they weren't expecting anyone else to speak up. The voice was revealed to be Kushina, who sported a frown on her face. Arcuate looked like the deer caught in the headlights. "Who are you?" "I'd be careful if I were you, brat. I'm the clan head of the Uzumaki, and this love-stuck idiot is my son." She ignored a blushing Naruto's protests. "So tell me why you are in my territory, brat." "Mom, can't you see that she still needs rest? Leave her be for now. What does it matter if she's one of those true ancestors?" The only response he received was a bump to the head courtesy of his mother that shut him up. "Why do I have to answer anything to you, you old hag? Can't you see that we were having a conversation here?" A tick mark appeared on Kushina's face along with a red aura around her, while her hair started to hover behind her, segmenting into 9 different pieces. "Ho! Someone clearly needs discipline. Tell me, do you want to be punished so badly? Because I can easily oblige you, shitty excuse of a vampire." Arcuate herself rose from her bed, a white aura surrounding her, while her hand transformed into a claw. "You want a piece of me, you old hag?" Lightning erupted between their eyes as they became ready to rip each other to pieces. Naruto, still disoriented, tried to get up only to fall face first on Arcuate's chest, who while still young was quite gifted for her age. Arcuate let out an embarrassed squawk when he landed on her chest, while Kushina was beyond pissed. Unforgivable. Naruto was quite lucky that they were still in the hospital. Kushina, Arcuate, and Naruto were sitting in the mansion's gardens after the incident at the hospital. Alongside them was Seraphal, who came to confirm that the presence of the White Princess was indeed true. "Now I want to tell me why you're here, Brunestad." Last I heard you were raised by that old relic Zelrich, said Kushina. All eyes were on Arcuate after that. She took a deep breath. Old man is dead. He died a month ago in his sleep. His age finally caught up to him. Kushina and Serafall, who knew the old man, hung their heads in respect to his passing. He was a great man and will be missed by many. My condolences, Arctan, said Serafall to her. Kushina too gave her condolences. Arcuate gave them both a nod and thanks. Naruto was still confused, and he decided to voice his confusion. Who's this Zelrich and what are the true ancestors? His mother turned to him. What you have to understand, Naruto, is that like the devils, vampires are residents of darkness that have existed since ancient times. They have similar rankings and weaknesses like that of high-class devils. However, devils are residents of the underworld, while vampires are beings that live in the darkness of the human world. They may seem similar, but their views and culture differ greatly. How so? It was Serafall that answered him. The vampires are a race of supernatural creatures even more proud and aloof than the devils. In fact, the discrimination between vampires and other species is so strong that it has reached the point that Damper, who were born from vampire lords and human mothers, are treated badly even by their own family members. Several hundred years ago, there was an incident that split the world of vampires, where the vampires argued between choosing a female true ancestor and a male true ancestor in order to retain pure-blooded vampires. This incident eventually led to a violent civil war that completely eradicated the true ancestors, the oldest of the true vampires, down to one person. Who was that person? It was Arcuate that answered him. Me. That completely surprised Naruto. You? But how is that possible? You look like you're my age. Give or take a few months. Well, when the Civil War happened, I entered a deep sleep, like a hibernation. During that time I was stopped from aging. A magician named Zelrich, who was a friend, took me in. A few years ago he broke the hibernation because he felt that the time was right. And so here I am. I see, was all Naruto said. He was deep in thought about an idea he had. What I want to know is why you were in the state that Naruto found you in, asked Kushina. Well, a few days before Naruto found me, I was tracked down by agents of the Teeps faction. They attacked me, and I was barely able to escape in time. I used a portal to bring me in the underworld, but it completely exhausted me, leaving me in the state I was found. I see, said Serafall as she stood up. I have to bring the news to the rest of the Satans, especially Ajuka. He was a good friend of the old man Zell. She turned to Arcuate. We have decided that you can remain as long as you wish in the underworld. I recommend staying with the Uzumaki to have a friendly face around. It was good meeting you, White Princess. I hope our paths cross again. Serafall finished with a big smile. Before Arcuate could reply, she was interrupted by Naruto. Wait a minute before you leave, Sarah. What is it, Narutan? Arcuate, I have something to ask of you. He turned to the vampire princess. Would you like to join my peerage? Was heard from Kushina. Even Serafall looked surprised. Before I answer you, I want to ask. Why? Questioned him Arcuate. Do you want to bind my power? Do you crave the prestige you'll gain because you've tamed the White Princess? Do you want to be the one who subjugated the last true ancestor? Naruto was shocked at what she was insinuating. No, nothing like that. It's just that ever since I met you I have this feeling. All those days that I waited you to wake up, I felt a connection to you. I can't explain it with words. It's a gut feeling that tells me that I have to ask you, even if you reject me. Do I make any sense? Absolutely not, Naruto. You're not making any sense, and neither will I allow you to have this failure of a vampire in your peerage. Raged Kushina behind them. Shut it, old hag. Arcuate shouted back at Kushina. I have to say that I was expecting you to ask me, Naruto. After all, if you didn't ask me, I was going to ask you if I could join. I had the same feeling telling me to do just that ever since I met you. I can't describe it either. It felt like I was meant to be found by you that day. She smiled at him. So yes, I'll join your peerage, my king. The next moment Naruto summoned his evil piece set and started going through the pieces. He immediately discarded those all back to their place, and he took hold of the one piece that he knew was meant for Arcuate. The queen piece. He placed the piece upon her chest and recited an aria. By the power bestowed upon me, I call upon the Arcuate Brunistad to become a member of my peerage. So arise in this new life of yours, my queen. The piece, before it was absorbed, it changed and became black with silver vines running along its length, signifying it to be a mutation piece. Let's go and take over the world, my queen. All she did was smile warmly at him. Behind them, Seraphol, who was restraining a pissed-off Kushina, said something that was a prelude to the days to come. Things are starting to become a lot more interesting. The others need to know about that. A few days later. Your tea, Rin-sama, said a pissed of Naruto as he served tea to a smirking Tosaka Rin while dressed as a butler. Rin took a sip and spat it out in disgust. You call that monstrosity tea? She spilled the remaining tea on his face. Go make me a new one, servant. Apparently Naruto wasn't able to break into her room, and so for the next month his ass belonged to Rin. A fact that she was going to milk for all it's worth. Yes, Rin-sama. And? Rin-sama is the best there is. There is no one who knows anything better than Rin-sama. My sole purpose in life is to be useful to Rin-sama. Am I free to go to fetch more tea, Rin-sama? Yes, servant. You have my permission to go. Ho 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 ho, she cackled manically like the witch she was, thought Naruto. 2 days down, 29 to go. And hey guys. New chapter, as you can clearly see. Duh. Naruto Uzumaki peerage. King, Uzumaki Naruto. Queen, Arcuate Brunistad, mutated. Knight? Knight? Bishop? Rook? Rook? Pawn? Pawn? Till next time. Read and review. CYA.